Los Angeles, 1937. There are lots of guys like J.J. Gittes. They're easy to find, if you want to find them.
Mr. Gittes, have we ever met?
Well, no.
Never?
Never.
Since you agree with me that we've never met before, you must also agree with me that I've never hired you to do anything, certainly not spy on my husband. I don't get tough with anyone, Mr. Gittes. My lawyer does.
Hi and welcome back to Real Reviews, where today I'm diving into real retro territory as I take a look back at Chinatown. Now in its 50th anniversary year, it's being re-released on 4K Ultra HD in celebration. So now is the ideal time to take a look back at this Roman Polanski classic and figure out exactly why it still remains one of the benchmarks in filmmaking during 70s cinema.
You do your job. And sometimes you find the answers to questions that should never be asked. Or you find out what happens to people who ask them.
Hold it there, kitty cat. You're a very nosy fella, kitty cat, huh? You know what happens to nosy fellas?
I dislike the word cheat.
Did you have affairs?
Mr. Gittes.
Did he know about it? Where were you when your husband died? You were seeing someone too. For very long?
I don't see anyone for very long, Mr. Gittes. It's difficult for me.
So there are many reasons why Chinatown is considered to be a classic of 70s cinema. First and foremost is the involvement of Robert Towne, the screenwriter, who would go on to win an Oscar for the project. Next up is Jack Nicholson, there as Jake Gittes, who would then go on to make One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining, Terms of Endearment, and win a multitude of Oscars. Next is the involvement of Faye Dunaway, who I believe had just come off McCabe and Mrs. Miller with Warren Beatty, but would go on to make Network with Sidney Lumet, which is again another staple of that era in cinema. Next you've got Roman Polanski, the disgraced director who had come off Rosemary's Baby with Mia Farrow, I believe, and was making his name in an unfamiliar genre and sort of like becoming very much a journeyman director. Next you had an absolute legend in the directing field, John Huston, who was also involved in a small supporting role as Noah Cross. You see, the problem with Chinatown is there's too much going on, there's too much talent on screen. It's time to move on to the next section. Let's do that.
Mr. Gittes, you're dealing with a disturbed woman who's just lost her husband. I don't want her taken advantage of.
The truth. I said I want the truth.
So coming on like a 50s film noir, Chinatown really is a character study with Jack Nicholson as Jake Gittes at its centre. Obviously Faye Dunaway is there as Evelyn Mulray and John Huston is there as Noah Cross. This is the triangle, this is the relationships that the film deals with. Yes, it is ostensibly about water shortage in the Los Angeles area during that time, but it also gets deeper, it gets incestuous, it's dark, it's unpleasant. It also has an incredibly downbeat ending, which is completely unheard of for Hollywood movies at that time, and it has an absolute powerhouse performance at its centre with Jack Nicholson, shall we say, firing on all cylinders. Faye Dunaway is very much so. There's a natural chemistry which is clicking between them. Huston is incredibly good as an understated sort of overbearing father figure, and then you have a plethora of other ensemble players around, which really bring this story to life. It's remained a classic because of the cinematography, because of the fact that it has universal themes which run throughout it, but ultimately it's an example of an era and a time and a place in cinema that ultimately will never be recreated, I suspect, and is looked back with a certain degree of nostalgia. So to what degree it's still a great film is up for debate, but it's certainly unreservedly a classic. On that note, I'm going to dive into my rating. Let's do that.
Go home, Jake.
I'm doing you a favor. Come on, Jake. Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
You get tough. You get tender. You get close to each other. Maybe you even get close to the truth. Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway in a Robert Evans production of a Roman Polanski film, Chinatown.
So yes, I'm going to be giving Chinatown on 4K Ultra HD a 4 out of 5 on the big old 5 scale. It's got the characters, it's got the setting, it's got the nostalgia, and it's a solidly written Oscar-winning screenplay. But it does have its niggles. It's not an original. It might be a benchmark. I'm not sure where that sits, makes it sit in the sliding scale of things. But on that note, yes, it's a classic. Yes, I'd go out and buy it. Even doesn't matter what the format is. And it's now time for me to dive into my trailer. Let's do that. And so it is, I've come to the end of the video review for Chinatown, which is going to be available on 4K Ultra HD imminently. This is a bit where I go. If you like the video, then give me a thumbs up. Failing that, you can just drop a comment in the comment box below and I will respond. And finally, you can just subscribe so that every Tuesday and every Saturday when I drop another one of these videos, you'll get a little notification and you can pop in and watch or listen to as much or as little as you like and then go about your day. In the meantime, check out the rest of the channel and maybe pop over to the Patreon page. Take care.